Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If your first time to be on this YouTube channel, you're welcome. And for my returning subscribers, you're welcome as well. And today we'll be talking about Trendline. What are the types of Trendline? And how to draw a proper Trendline. How does a Trendline works in particular? And a key point to note when drawing a Trendline. So these are the few things we'll be talking about today concerning Trendline. So with that being said, let us move into it. What is Trendline? Trendline are easily recognizable lines that traders draw on charts to connect a series of prices together or show some data's best fit. Or you can simply say Trendline shows a visual representation of dynamic support and resistance of price in any time frame. This is what Trendline is basically all about. And what are the types of Trendline? We have two types of Trendline. We have the main Trendline, which is the major Trendline, and we have the counter Trendline. The counter Trendline, let me go to 1 hour and show you what I mean by counter Trendline. This is counter Trendline. This is counter Trendline. So these are Trendline inside the main Trendline. Now, how do we draw a proper Trendline? Drawing a proper Trendline, you need to determine where we have a touch, where we have two touches between the peak and the trough. This is how to draw a proper trend line, touching the peak and the trough. Now, on this trend line, I already draw a line here. Let me delete it and show you guys again what I mean by drawing a peak and the trough together. Now, we all can see that this is a proper trend line. This one, as you can see, it touched here, and hopefully when it's moving down, we will basically see a third touch. Because for you to know when there is a proper trend line, it either give us at least 3 touches. So when it's longer than 3 touches, that is a long-term movement of market. But majority of the market, as a day trader, we trade at least 3 touches, or let's say at most 2 touches. It's not going to be more than 2 touches. But most of the time, when it touches the 4th time, that is when it breaks out. When there is a long movement in the market after the 3rd touch, coming back to the 4th touch, it breaks out. So let us show a visual representation of what I'm talking about, so that you guys can see what I'm basically talking about. On this, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to do a back test on this tutorial so that we can see how it works, a step-by-step movement on how these things work based on my strategy. If you have been following me on this channel, you know that I talk about psychology level a lot. I also talk about the chart patterns on every candlestick or probably every pair. USD pairs has its own crucial chart pattern that goes along with it. JPY pairs too, they have their own chart pattern that is also favorite to them. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to stick with GDP USD and show you guys how the candlesticks works and the signal that comes along with it. Whenever you see the candlestick, you would definitely know. Now let's go. So as you can see, we have another trend line under the major trend line. Okay, where we can see a touch here and a touch here. Let me show you guys what I mean by that. There was a touch here. There was another touch here. This touch came under the major trend line. It retested on the psychology level, giving us a bearish candlestick and came down to this direction. Now, because we can see a morning star and a spike on a bullish candle, definitely there's going to be a buy on this particular place. So we are going to place a buy. We'll place a buy now and let's see how it works. Let us buy on this market, and we place a stop loss. This is buy. Now let's place our stop loss. Let's place our stop loss below it here, and I'll take profits above it here. Now let's see if the trade will go in our direction. Now, clean and clear, the trade just went to our direction, and let's see how much we just made on this particular trade. We made about $46. You guys can see 46.5 dollars on this trade. So this is basically how it works. Now you guys can see that it touched and it gave a touch on this side, on this particular trend line, on this particular counter trend line. It touched this one. It touched this one. It touched this one. It touched this one. So when I saw a movement here, when I saw the chart pattern here and the candlestick pattern, I definitely knew that there was going to be a buy, and it bought, and it gave us a very good signal on this psychology level, touching the trend line direction. So now let us see if it's going to break out. If it's going to break out, we wait for the retest, then we buy again. Then if it's going to sell down, continue to sell down, then we will definitely know. So let us continue. Now it broke above our counter trend line. Now our direction would be, if it's going to touch the major trend line, which is this one, which is this particular one. If it's going to touch this particular trend line, then this question, which is the major and main trend line, then we'll know that okay, it's going to give us a good. If it touches it and still stay there, probably trying to sell again, then we'll sell. But if it breaks above it, then we'll know that this trade is going to give us a very good amount of pips, probably 50 to 100 pips, because it broke above the major trend line in this market. So we're not going to buy because it's already bought, already gave a very good spike of 2 candlesticks. So let us continue and just watch. It retested. After breaking, it retested, but it didn't touch the psychology level. Now it's going to buy based on what I'm seeing on this, based on the meaning of what I'm seeing here and what I'm seeing here. I feel it's going to buy. Now look at the psychology meaning of all the candlestick. When it goes to this way, they were shrinks. Most of the candlestick were shrinking. Let me take this out. They were shrinking, and they refused to go down. They were all trying to go up. So it means that buyers are already in full control under this direction. Let's just place a buy and see how it goes. Now, see what we're talking about. Let us continue to extend our major trend line. Oh, it didn't touch our major trend line. Let us continue to see. So based on what we are seeing on this movement, we didn't touch here actually, but it touched the psychology level. As I told you, I was waiting for it, thinking it was going to touch it, but it didn't. Actually, it touched the psychology level and it started selling. So we are going to wait because this place were choppy, or here were choppy, so there was no way I could draw a very clean trend line. This direction were very, very choppy, so I couldn't draw any trend line at all on this direction. So I was just waiting for it to, if you can see, these are very choppy trades, and which the best thing to do is to avoid it and wait until you get the proper signal before we can place a very good trade on this channel, on this particular trade. So let us continue. Now this is becoming so massive and so interesting. I am going to buy on this particular movement here. I just saw a signal, so I saw a counter trend line here. There's a counter trend line here. Now let us buy on this particular position and see if it's going to touch this trend line. We buy here and see if it's going to touch this particular trend line. Okay, now let us continue. Let us place a buy. We just bought. Let us try to put our stop loss. Nice. As you can see, guys, we just made another massive profit on this particular trade. The reason why I have to place a trade on this particular place is this definition and the psychology of what this candlestick is trying to give to me. Now you guys can see that. Let me show you guys. On this particular direction, the reason why I had to take a trade was there was a fade in momentum. Let's just put it that way. There was a fade in momentum and there was a fade in character. So it shows that buyers are trying to go into this market and sellers are fading out. So that was why I knew that there was going to be a buy on this direction, which is going to be massive, and it actually broke above our counter trend line. Now we know we have a touch here initially. We have another touch here. We have another touch here. Now among these three touches, like I said before, after the third touch, the fourth touch, which is this one, we always most times break above the trend line. When it does break above it, we wait for the retest and also buy or probably sell, depending on the direction of the market at that particular position. So now we can see that 1, 2, 3, which was already a valid trend line, and there was a massive drop, a very massive drop from here down to this side. The drop was massive. Now after that, it broke out. It retested and broke above this particular counter trend line. So our bone of contention, our direction now, and our hope is to check if it's going to touch the major trend line. We are still under the major trend line. So let us continue and see. Now we're going to wait for the candle to see if it's going to touch the major trend line. We are still under the major trend line, mind you guys. Let us buy on this particular place. Let us try to give a buy and give a stop loss. Just few amount of profit we need to make around this corner. Let us see how it goes. Now let me take this. Let me take out this this position that I just entered. I made little, I think around $1 or so, but this is not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you the candlestick behind it. As you can see, there was an evening star on the trend line, on the major trend line. It didn't break above it. It gave a candlestick pattern touching the psychology level and touching the trend line at the same time. So this is a massive signal. Sell. If I were you, when I see this signal, I'll definitely stack the market. I'll stack it a lot. Probably give it a 10% of my account. Then I'll definitely enter because the signal is going to be good. Can't you see? We're already in profit already. We're already in massive profits. Now let us see on this trade how much we already make. Already 4 trades actually. We made about $800. It shows that these things are not rocket science. These things are valid way of how to trade in the market using psychology level and using trend line. Now I am actually doing back test on this and I'm showing you guys how trend line works. Though the purpose of this tutorial today is trend line, but I'm adding psychology level, which is part of my strategy in the market, and I'm showing you guys how these things work step by step. So I would suggest and I'll commend you guys to apply it to your strategy. If you have enough strategy, at least look into this and see if it works for you, and you can make use of 1 or 2 from what I've actually shown you guys on this tutorial. Because can't you see, on our trade, we've practically entered how many trade? Let's see how many trade we entered. We entered about 5 trades. I will recommend you guys to do more of back tests. You understand and discover that these things basically works 80 to 90% of the time in the market. Okay, so if you have not subscribed into this channel, I will recommend you guys to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like and share. And if you have any question, put it on the comment section and I'll do my best to answer your questions. So with that being said, I will see you guys again. Bye for now.